welcome to the fourth part in my GraphQL tutorial. So we're gonna shortly look at how to implement arguments in your GraphQL API. So let's hit the Visual Studio Code instance and continue from where we ended at the previous tutorial. So to wrap up, there is some things that we need to fix here before moving forward. If you look at the code in the previous episode, we defined this user type and it's inheriting from object graph type. Apparently I failed a little bit with how to use this public class user that we defined in that episode. So of that reason I forgot the API, how to write it in C# because I have been writing a GraphQL API using graphql-dotnet. So to fix these things, we look at this use type, and we as an object graph type of generic type user, that's the correct thing, and we update this field string graph type. We can do it above here, field and anonymous function name, and then we pass description, the username. So let's just copy that one and email. So now we have tidied it up a little bit so we can continue our journey in defining arguments. So let's look at this resolver that we have here, the me resolver. So how to define an argument, so you can pass, for example, like an user ID when you are querying for an information. So that will be like if you're thinking about on REST. Let's think about REST API a little bit here. It will maybe be like a get and the users and ID. So this will be the argument part. So let's look at how to implement that parameter or argument, so to say, in GraphQL. So and let's do it from this me resolver, and you can pass something called arguments. There is an argument for that in the field, and then you have to specify it of query arguments. This can get a little bit noisy here at this moment because we are defining this directly in the resolver. Maybe if you are designing a GraphQL API, you are maybe separating the parts so you can pass like a reference to a class that contains arguments. So this might look a little bit ugly when we're defining it directly here into the resolver, but this is just for learning this thing quickly. So we have new query arguments, and to that we pass new query arguments. That's a list or a dictionary or of arguments. So let's define a query argument, and there is a field that is called name. So let's just type something here like what should we take? Testing. Just a little bit ugly, but yeah, testing. And we can have a default value. We can just have it empty at this moment. So apparently I missed something here. What did I miss? Always failing when it's a live stream, isn't it? Let's take this from the beginning. New query argument. And we have a query argument. And let's see what. Yeah, of course, obviously. Yeah, my bad. So let's put this on a new line so it will not be too hard on our eyes. So obviously to the argument you have to specify which kind of type is it. For example, in the case of the REST API where you have a user endpoint right with user, and you have a get query string ID. That's probably an integer. So, but now we can with it's generic of string graph type. Let's do it like that, string graph type. Let's tidy up this a bit more so it's more readable. So this will be the equal of thinking about a REST API. You have get and you have me and testing. Whoa, like that. That's an this is equal, but we're doing it in the GraphQL API thingy. So let's launch that code, and let's see. We should launch GraphQL Playground. Let me just change screen. Endpoint, GraphQL, open. Let's inspect the docs. And now you see here, me query is now having a testing argument. So let's try this query out. Now we get awesome coder, that is the default value. Or we actually are not providing any default value because we have just defined the argument. It's not doing anything at the moment. So let's move forward to that one. So to grab the argument, we have this return user store name. Let's just provide something foo, var foo here. You can get this argument in the root query context. That is passed as an argument to the resolve function that I selected here, ctx. So you do ctx.arguments, and I let you guess what am I going to put here inside this, what kind of index. So I give a hint for you here. Yeah, testing. Let's just do a simple string concat here. Foo. Let's rebuild this, shall we? And I change the screen. So let's just refresh. Oh, I get an exception. Let me show you that one. Here we can learn something. The given key testing was not present in the dictionary. Okay, let's fix that. So what happened here is that when we did the query, we did not pass any argument to it, but it's expecting an argument. So to fix that, to this query arguments string graph type, we can pass default value. And yeah, bar. Yeah, pass. What should you write? Yeah, that's usual stuff. So let's try it out again. Oh, now it's working. So how do you pass an argument then to the GraphQL API? So actually the documentation here gives us a hint. It's me, and we have the testing, and you could see that it's expecting that you should put something of a string into this argument named testing. So let's change that, and we have testing, and we say Linux like that. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, and there you have an argument that is passed to the resolver. So let us just look at the code once more to recap. So what we did is we continued our code that we have been working with in previous episode. It was this resolver, me, and before it was only returning user store name. That was like a static class in our project here to just have some mock data. So what we did was to add arguments here, and we defined which arguments that was going to be in this resolver, and it was of string graph type. That is, the API is expecting that the argument should be of type string, obviously. And we gave the argument name testing, and we found out what it happened if we did not have a default value. Then we get an exception, because here in the resolver we're expecting to have an argument called testing, and it's not existing because it's not a default value. So we have to provide a default value in this case if we give the user the possibility to query me without using an argument. So in that case, it gives a default value to the consumer of the GraphQL API. So now we touched the subject about arguments. We're going to move forward with this in the next episode. I'm going to do arguments in mutations, and we're going to mock up a little bit better user data to have in this demo, in this tutorial, so we are not only having like user store.name in this case. So thank you for watching this live stream. I will give a link to the GitHub with a new branch name in the description, and if you like to subscribe and get a notification about the next episode, you are welcome to subscribe. So thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best.